is a 1987 Toyota MR2.
And how long have you had it?
I bought it at the end of July in 2020, so 10 months.
So this was sort of like an intentional project then. This wasn't like... So why'd you pick an MR2? Is this always a car you were after?
Absolutely not. I absolutely did not have any aspirations of owning this car in my life. This is one of those cars that I honestly forgot existed until a friend of mine said, "Hey, my uncle has this. Do you want it?" And I'm like, not really.
I was the deciding factor.
She really was.
I wanted a Miata, but I was like, anything with flippy headlights, I love.
so that was the criteria number one: flippy headlights.
Flippy headlights.
Behind the headlights doesn't matter.
No,
I don't think we've run across that one before.
No.
Yeah, flippy headlights is a selling point.
Yeah. So what kind of shape was it in when you got it?
It was roughly in non-running, non-painted, no interior, barely running. I'll give it that credit.
It had a steering wheel, and that was it.
Starting. It would start it.
Maybe,
Maybe.
depending on its mood that minute.
When you first started, what was the hardest thing to tackle on it? What was the furthest gone that you had to address?
Honestly, the car came from North Carolina.
Okay.
There was really nothing that needed major attention. It was basically just putting an interior in it, which we already had, and getting it moving under its own power well.
You had an interior for one?
When we bought this, we actually got a parts car with it.
Everything else was there. The interior had nothing. It was sandblasted on the inside, so there was sand everywhere.
It wasn't hard, but it was time consuming. It was bleeding the clutch because you have the master cylinder in the front, the clutch is in the rear. So you have to get that fluid to go through all the lines, get all the bubbles out. We ended up, honestly, we spent a good 2 hours trying to bleed the clutch, and a good hour of it was whenever we realized that the clutch was never hooked up. We had to hook up the clutch. There's a little pin and a jam nut, and we never hooked that up.
So what all did you have to do to it mechanically to get it running well?
Running well, we had to do an intake, a mass air sensor. We had to actually just install the sensor itself. Just a couple little maintenance things, put coolant in it.
How long was it parked?
We've gotten mixed answers. It's been 5 years, 10 years, 2 years. It's a hit or miss of how long it's sat and how it's sat and what conditions. We know it was in a garage.
For most of its life, it was in a garage, I believe.
So what'd you do next? Got it running.
Got it running. Got the interior put in, which is that was her big.
That was all. I know nothing about cars. Like, he's taught me everything. And that interior, that was all me. So it was trial and error on my part, trying to figure out which went where. There was no book to tell me where everything went. So it was just me trying to figure it out.
How'd the interior turn out?
Way better than it was.
This is not the interior that we put in originally. This is the second interior.
Why the second interior?
This one had a carpet, and the seats were in much better condition.
Yeah.
So our original interior had no carpet whatsoever. So everything, we heard everything, all the little tings, tangs, and the exhaust, just all the dampening from the carpet and everything really helps. And like I said, it was in much better shape. Plus, we got an 87 interior in it now, so we actually have how it's supposed to fit.
So tell us about last night.
So last night we were out and about, and there's this thing on the MR2. It's called the 3 light to death: cooling fan, battery, and brake. The brake light comes on. It's an electrical problem.
Tends to happen a lot.
And it's either a bad ground, something, or the alternator belt. So last night we were driving, and 3 lights came on. I said, okay, the belt lost tension. No big deal. I'll fix that when we get home. The belt lost tension, and the alternator also fell out.
Fell out.
Yep, like the 2 bolts.
No bolts
that
on the
were
alternator, just kind of free hanging in there.
It was just hanging
Did
out.
you zip tie it? I mean,
no. We were locally. We were close to home, and a good friend came and picked us up, and he helped us get the bolts out of the parts car and put them in this one. And then we threw the belt on that was shredded. We actually just threw a belt on before we came here. I was out till probably midnight last night.
It was midnight.
Working in McDonald's parking lot, trying to get this thing back on the road.
So what happened to the bolts? They just back out?
They're gone now.
They're somewhere.
I don't know where they went.
Well, there's the old bumper sticker. Honk if parts fell off.
Yeah.
So what else have we done? We know we got the interior done.
We got the interior done.
Got it running well. Replaced the alternator.
Replaced the alternator. We did wheels and tires. That was a big one.
So what was on it when you got it? Anything?
I had the factory 3-spoke, 14-inch wheels. They weren't in good shape. I wasn't really about keeping them. I think I was sitting there one morning, I went on Craigslist, and I saw these Mini Cooper wheels. And he wanted $400 for them with tires. Tires were in good shape, so I bought them. Yeah. Tires didn't fit, so I had to buy new tires. The fronts are some generic tire. The rears are what I originally bought were Solar. I think it's like a Walmart brand. What's funny about this car is the rear tires, whenever you're driving, if they're too soft, you can feel it. It feels like body roll. What I ended up doing was I bought Dunlops. They're an autocross tire. So the rear trunk lid and the hood are not for this car. What we ended up doing is we took them off the parts car just for the sole fact that they weren't as dented. The rear engine lid is almost perfect, and the hood has just a couple little dings. All the plastics around where you see the rear window, those black plastics in the visor, those were not on the car, and those are actually very hard to buy. It's not something Toyota has back stock of. You can't buy an aftermarket one. You have to buy original ones from a car. Front bumper came off our first parts car. It's a pre-facelift front bumper with a facelift front lip. So it actually looks a lot better in my opinion, and a lot of people agree. So suspension, the front end has poly bushings. It is on BC coils, so it is lowered about an inch. The rear end, I haven't done anything with yet, but I have a full set of poly for the car. Wheels and tires obviously were a part of suspension. So originally we had an exhaust off some old like Dodge Neon that we bought on a whim, and we strapped it in, put like a 90-degree bend pipe on it and put it on. No cat, nothing. It smelled awful, sounded terrible.
Shot flames.
Shot fireballs. A lot of fireballs. Eventually got sick of it, took the exhaust off our parts car, which is actually a 3-inch exhaust. It looks like it was custom made, but it's much better. It has a cat, has a tailpipe that exits on the right side.
Yeah, it did not exit on the right side where it was supposed to be when we had the other one.
Muffler looks really good too, I think, with just how the whole thing's set up.
Yeah.
I love the paint. The paint was definitely a really big deciding factor of what we were going to do with the car. We went through so many different colors as well. We wanted to go with an OE color. We didn't want to go with some crazy color. I really like American car colors. I think they've always been nice, so we originally went with the Destroyer Gray. The more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, I don't like gray. I think that's not the right color for this car. My project car I've always wanted was a Firebird. I love Firebirds. I wanted them in the worst way, so my compromise to that was I bought Firebird Red from the 70s. It makes people double take when they know the car. They're like, wait a second, that's not the right color. So this is actually my favorite part of this whole car. From the day that I got it, from the day that we can get it running, I've taken it as many places as I could. I go to the Cars and Coffee, everything, and people, I get like 1 or 2 people that maybe go, oh look, that's an MR2, you know. Last Sunday we went to Cars and Coffee. It was like nobody's ever seen it before.
Yep.
It's like, this is the same one you saw 2 weeks ago, but it was just people were flocking. They're like, well, look at this, look at it's.
Is that after paint?
That's after paint.
That
is
right
after
after
paint.
So
paint.
that's why. So you picked the right color.
Apparently I did.
We would come in and everybody's like, oh, look at that thing before the paint. And then we come up and everybody took videos of it as we were coming in. And I was like, that is a big change for this car.
Yeah.
Turned out great though.
Yeah, especially for the like how we did it, because we didn't do in like a body shop or anything. This was definitely done in a garage on a Saturday. I really can't thank my friend enough for doing that for me, especially because it was one of those things where I kind of messaged him on like a Tuesday and said, hey, we're painting the car this weekend. He's like, okay. Our joke too right now in our friend group is everybody has a red car, so it's Red Car Gang. The MR2 wasn't a part of it, but now it is. This was one of the cars that I've owned that I had no intention of liking, so I didn't think anyone else was going to like it. It was one of those cars I bought and I said, I'm going to just get rid of it. Fix it and get rid of it and be done with it. It's just a quick little maybe money maker. My expectations of it were wrong.